Hi, everyone. This is Pastor Alice, and welcome to your midweek devotion. For our devotion this week, we are dwelling on one of the quotes that centers our series, The World Made Well. The first quote that we have mentioned before is Julian of Norwich: "All shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well." Today, we are dwelling on the quote, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice." So at this time, I just invite you to take a few moments to center yourself. Take some deep breaths. You can follow the graphic on the screen that'll guide your breathing in and out. So our quote comes from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The full quote is, "We shall overcome, because the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice." And he said this in his speech, "Remaining Awake Through a Great Revolution," which was given at the National Cathedral on March 31st, 1968. And he used this quote in a lot of his speeches. And this is the particular speech that it is sourced from. And you can actually look up on YouTube if you'd like the audio of the speech, if you'd like to listen to the full thing. And so Dr. Martin Luther King, he basically got the inspiration from this quote from a 1800s preacher, and he basically put his own twist on it. But the quote from the preacher, who is Theodore Parker, he was a preacher and a radical abolitionist, and he preached a sermon called "Justice and the Conscience." And he wrote this: "I do not pretend to understand the moral universe. The arc is a long one. My eye reaches but little ways. I cannot calculate the curve and complete the figure by the experience of sight. I can divine it by conscience. And from what I see, I am sure it bends towards justice." So I enjoyed Theodore's quote here because it gave me a visual of, um, if you're looking at an arc and you're looking at it from the beginning, it's very hard to see where it's going to go, where its endpoint is. It's not just a straight line of sight. And I thought that was a really helpful illustration of the idea of bending. And he also, mentions his own inability to fully know the moral universe and fully know why bad things happen to good people, to fully know why things happen the way that they do. And so, again, that curve image is really helpful. How we're looking at the universe and the history and timeline of events, and we certainly feel our smallness and not being able to fully understand it. Um, and so Dr. King kind of took that phrase, that idea, and he made it his own. And for Dr. Martin Luther King, it was very much a faith-based statement. He wasn't just saying that, all shall be well and everything's going to be okay because things always work out. He was making a statement that there is a God that has created this world, a God that values justice and seeks for God's people to live with justice as a value. And so when he was speaking about this, he was saying that the God of the universe, of the moral universe, has created a beautiful world where humans make mistakes, where humans make errors, and humans don't treat each other the way that they should. However, when you look at the full arc of it, God is a God who demands and advocates for justice, that works for justice with humanity. And so it was very much a statement about his own faith, of who God is, what God does for us, and how God tells us we should live. So this picture is from the civil rights trip that I took with other Calvary folks this past summer. This is at the MLK Center in Atlanta. This is the on the steps that go up to Martin and Coretta's grave, which is in the center of a pool. And it was the principles of nonviolence. And so this is principle 6. Nonviolence believes that the universe is on the side of justice. The nonviolent resistor has deep faith that justice will eventually win. Nonviolence believes that God is a God of justice. And so I found that to be very helpful, especially as I've been exploring the concept of nonviolence for a sermon I preached, and believing that our God is a God of justice, that we do not need to resort to violence to make things right in the world. And that's a very powerful statement and something to strive for. If we look at Scripture, there is bountiful Scripture about God being a God that loves justice, a God that asks his people to live with justice as a value. And so in Hosea chapter 12, verses 5 and 6, the Lord, the God of hosts, the Lord is his name. But as for you, return to your God, hold fast to love and justice, and wait continually for your God. And a favorite for a lot of people, but let justice roll on like a river, righteousness like a never-failing stream. That's from Amos chapter 5, verse 24. And the Lord loves righteousness and justice. The earth is full of God's unfailing love. Psalm 33, verse 5. And a story that brings it to Jesus and Jesus' life. It says, this is in Luke, it says, he came to Nazareth, where he had grown up, and went according to his custom into the synagogue on the Sabbath day. He stood up to read, and was handed a scroll of the prophet Isaiah. He unrolled the scroll and found the passage where it was written, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to bring glad tidings to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim liberty to captives, and recovery of sight to the blind, to let the oppressed go free, and to proclaim a year acceptable to the Lord. Rolling up the scroll, He handed it back to the attendant and sat down. And the eyes of all in the synagogue looked intently at him. He said to them, "Today this scripture passage is fulfilled in your hearing." So that's very much a statement from Jesus about why he has come to this earth, why he is doing this ministry. That is very justice oriented, that this is what God has called him to do. And so, as we're thinking about this together, I'd like you to ponder, do you believe that the arc of the moral universe bends towards justice? Why or why not? I think a lot of us have different experiences that make us feel one way or the other. Many of us have been through experiences or read stories where it felt like justice did not win. And so it leads us to question, is the universe really bent towards justice in any way? What does that mean for, what has happened in my life? But this is something that Martin Luther King firmly believed, even though he was always threatened with violence, and his life was completely upended by people who did not like, what work he was doing for justice, and he was killed for it. And yet he still had this firm belief that the universe is bent towards justice. And we will play our song next, "It Is Well With My Soul." And I just invite you to think about, what are your thoughts on the moral universe being bent towards justice? What does that mean for how you view who God is? And what does that mean for your own idea of how the world is made well?